Thursday, legal podcast time, MLB post-game time, Cows playing defensive line time, Bears and, oh boy, old man Tom Brady time. Lot to get to. Justin Watkins, Battleborn Injury Lawyers, is here with us. Adam is here as always. It's Cofield. We do want to address what Adam was just talking about with some rumors on social media. First of all, this picture is from Boulder City, where they were going to have a rally, or they did have a rally, for the Vice President Mike Pence. And I just thought it was interesting. The person in charge of safety, making sure that, hey, you get in, you don't have coronavirus. I know it's nitpicking, but Lordy, lift the mask over your nose, lady, if you're doing the temperature check. I don't understand the difficulty, and I see it all the time. Just wear the mask correctly. Yikes.
I'll give her this. She's wearing sunglasses, but I've learned with those, and Adam might be able, well, you both might be able to back me up on this. So I rarely wear my glasses, but if I do, I have a couple times with the mask. And I wear a disposable mask like she's wearing. Right. Flip it upside down so the metal's on the bottom. Right. And then you can put it over your nose and you can still breathe without fogging it up.
Right. I like the fog. It cleans the glasses.
You want to see the world like Andy Reid sees a football game.
Sure. It shows I'm really in the game. I'm willing to sacrifice so much to be safe that so what if I have 75% of my vision impaired? Not a big deal.
Is it bad that like my most intriguing matchup this week is non-mask wearing John Gruden against shield wearing Andy Reid? I think that's the best matchup of the Raiders Chiefs game.
How much has Gruden been fined so far?
Just 100,000 personally, 250,000 for the team.
Just
yeah.
He hasn't gotten fined since. He keeps lowering that thing.
No, it's like a one-time deal.
I love
it. It's immunity. Once you get it, then you can do whatever you want. You already paid the fine.
You got the antibodies?
Yeah, it's got the mask violation antibodies.
That's all right. I was being sexist. Women can wear the mask anywhere they want.
Sure.
You're right. Brady, it's going. All right. Carvelli already is like, all right, let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
I love reading these in a certain tone.
Should we have fun? Like, Steve, you watched American Murder? Let's go. Let's discuss.
I know you were
fun times.
Well, I didn't say fun. I think I said like entertaining. It was entertaining.
I don't know if it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was. Justin, there's another documentary you got to watch, and the way it's set up, the producers are such jack-offs. American Murder on Netflix is about well, we don't want to ruin it, but they build it in a direction where you're like, okay, I can see both sides, and at the end you're like, oh, there's only one side. Okay. Oops, I made a really tragic call being judgmental early on. Really tragic. I felt real bad.
The bad thing? God, there's so many conversations you can have off air that you can't have on air. But there is some girls that have watched it that I've heard from today that are very against the girl.
Yep. Well, that's why they built it.
I'm like, hold on.
Stop. Let everyone watch it.
This is on Netflix or what?
Yeah, Netflix.
What's the actual title? Can you look it up?
American Murder, I think it's called.
I know, but it's like the case is specific, like, family disaster, bad guy. I don't know. There's got to be some title to it. Bad. It's real bad.
The Family Next Door. American Murder, The Family Next Door.
The Family Next Door. Okay.
It really, the last 15 minutes really bothered me.
You think? All right. Well, we'll break it down next week. Entertaining, not happy, not a good time after you watch it. Someone was just asking, hockey question here. Let's get to it before we forget. Any rumors or what were the rumors about Patches getting traded?
Well, it looks like we have a trade right now, so we can get into that. They're shopping salary. So, I mean, they've got to dump some salary right now. And here's a surprising development. They might have Marc-Andre Fleury next year because nobody will take him. Nobody will take the guy. So they might have him on the roster next year. So it looks like they have traded Paul Stastny, which
that's a good trade.
Is probably the right move. Yeah, makes $6.5 million. Wasn't living up to that. As good as he is, I think, as a playmaker, he really wasn't living up to that and really wasn't clicking in terms of the different line combinations that they used with him. So
What'd
I
they
think
get?
that makes a lot of sense. It's a salary dump. I think they're getting future picks
That's great.
from Winnipeg. Not officially done yet, but it looks like it's very close. So that's the first salary move they're going to make. But they cannot. They're begging people to take Fleury, and they can't get anybody to take.
No, so correct me if I'm wrong, though. When camp breaks, they could buy out Fleury again, right? They just can't do it during free agency period.
Sure, but I think, and I think they're going to revisit some of the rules with that too, because it's such a weird year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could. But here's like, as Darren Millard was talking about today on our show, which it does make a lot of sense. Like Fleury's contract isn't really one that makes sense to buy out, and that you're going to be paying him over the next few years if you do that. I don't know. They're in a tough spot from making that contract. Like that contract put them in a really bad situation.
But if the cap hit, I mean, if you're just looking at your goalie cap hit along the way, right? So the 4 years of buyout, as I've read, is like 2.5, 3, 2, 2. That's the cap hit over 4 years, right? So if you
and then five for Leonard.
Right. So you're at 7.5, 8, 7, 7.
You still got to sign somebody. Right, you still got to sign somebody to play.
Oh, well, you got Dansk in there. I mean, you can get a goalie at $1 million or less, right?
Sure. That's if you're going to just say, hey, Leonard's the guy, and we're gonna have just whoever in there. But I mean, there's talk about some of the bigger names trying to get them to sign lesser contracts and try to bring them in.
Right.
Then you're talking about a little bit too much money. I don't know. I think they're just in a weird spot. Do you try to figure out how to just eat it for 2 years, or as you're saying, if you spread it out and try to pay that contract over the next 4 years and have that cutting into your salary? I don't know what the right way to go is, but I think they're still desperate to try to get somebody to take the contract. They're obviously not going to get somebody to take all $7 million. But if you pay half over the next 2 years, does that make more sense than buying them out and having $2 million each year after that? I don't know.
Do you know? I don't know this answer. I haven't seen it anywhere. If they were to buy out Fleury, could they re-sign him, or is he allowed to sign anywhere but here?
That's a good question. I think it's different if you do it now as compared to after. Like I don't know that. That is something
that would be interesting to buy him out and then sign him for another $1 for a couple years.
Would he do that?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, he says he wants to stay. I'd probably not, right? Because he could still be a starter somewhere. But at the same time, if they're going to do close to a 50-50 split here, he's going to get more wins, which I think at this point in his career is the most important part, right? He's number 4 all-time on the wins list. He has a chance to get to the number 2 all-time on the wins list, but he's got to be playing for a winner. If he's playing for a loser, he's not going to move up the leaderboard. Maybe he'll catch 3rd, but he's not going to catch 2nd unless he's on a winner.
Looks like they have to wait a year.
Oh, they can't sign him right away.
Yeah, it looks like they have to wait 1 year.
That sucks.
Is there even a possibility that Marc-Andre Fleury would be like, hey, restructure it, I'll take less money?
Can't restructure.
Yeah, not NHL.
No. Right.
No. But hey, moving Stastny makes a ton of sense. Even though like he wasn't the problem, you got $6.5 million that's gone after this year. At some point, you got to try Glass out in the center position, right? You have to. You just re-signed Stevenson, so you have somebody that can play the second line if Glass doesn't produce. But if you give Glass 80 games, really figure out what you got there, then you can make a decision. But playing him on the third line wing, we learn nothing. So I like the move. Frees up 6.5. That's what we needed.
Sounds like they might get a 4th round pick.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah,
I think that's good. And I think the next one, if they're going to dump more, if they're really trying to go after Pietrangelo, is going to be Nate Schmidt, right? I mean, he's at what, 5.5 or 5.9, and we got 4 more years of that. And it's probably a marketable number for him to get out there. So that would free up. We'd be up, almost 11 million, and we didn't re-sign Cousins, or at least we didn't do a qualifying offer. So there's another potential 2 million out there that we freed up. So I think they're doing all right. I mean, obviously you want to dumped at 7, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Even under the best circumstances, you're going to give up a pick and probably eat half the salary for 2 years. So you're going to be eating some millions for at least 2 years. And then if you buy out for 4. So at the same time, you sign who everybody agreed was either the number 1 or number 2 signable goalie in this super deep goalie free agency. You know, I mean, some would say Markstrom's up there with him, but I got to think that Leonard was the number 1 goalie out there available.
I mean, kind of yes, but at the same, like,
I think so too.
You need to figure out how to get all the players that you do need. I mean, you need a lot of guys, but you can't sign everybody. There's realities of the cap situation. Listen, if they don't go out and get a splashy name in free agency, if they don't add anybody, they can make it work with just getting rid of Stastny, and probably, if they get rid of Fleury especially, then they can even have a little bit of room. But they have to make decisions. Like, they need all these guys. So
yeah, well, I mean, even if they just bought out Fleury, they would be $10 million in free space. I mean, buying them out is affording you, what is that, $4.5 million this year, $4 million next year, and then, but now you're eating dead money, $2 million of the next 2 years. So, I mean,
and Cameron, I saw the Crawford rumors. I don't know that it makes sense. Like, that was what the Blackhawks had last year, Crawford and Leonard, and I don't know that that's what they would do. I don't think they will.
And I guess the Blackhawks are going to sign Subban. They're gonna play him. Yeah, that's the rumor I saw. They didn't give him a qualifying offer, but they're negotiating. So
is it your plan to bring Subban back to play the
yes,
shootout?
Yes, that's my plan. I think he would have come. Well, who knows? Everybody says that plays for the Blackhawks say their organization's top notch and they treat their players really well. I don't know enough about them to say otherwise. But yeah, that was my plan, is Leonard Subban. But I think Subban was also a Dave Pryor guy.
Yeah, he was.
So
those Fleury, obviously.
Was not a Fleury guy. I mean, well, yes, he Pryor.
I'm saying Fleury's a Pryor
guy. Yeah, uh-huh.
God, I miss Dave Pryor and his dipping of hot dogs in the cheese sauce.
Tell that story again.
Up in the press box, they would often bring food in to the press box after the second period, especially some of the spots in the arena to try it out. So you can, they wanted the media, I think, to say, "Hey, look, this place is great. Come check this out." So they would bring some food up, and one day they brought like a whole thing of hot dogs and pretzels, and then a huge vat of cheese sauce. And Dave Pryor, former goalie coach, who is a hilarious person to talk to because he is one of the most aloof people you've ever, like, he's so out there. We call him a loose cannon. They would never let him do interviews because you never know what he was going to say. And he just walks up to the front of the line. He grabs a hot dog, swirls it around in the big vat of cheese, bites it, and he's like, "Oh, I thought that was mustard." First of all, even if it is mustard, that's not an appropriate way to go about things. This is pre-pandemic, but it's not appropriate. An appropriate thing is not to swirl your hot dog around in a community pot of mustard. But also, who serves mustard like that? Nobody.
Well, two things I got on his back here. Number one, cheese sauce on a hot dog is awesome. Number two,
sure. Wow.
Number two, at least he didn't double dip and swirl.
Yeah, dip right back in. Yeah. Bite the hot dog, dip back in.
Yeah, say, "Hey, I thought that was mustard, but that's delicious," and you just go right back in there.
Well, I love Pryor. He's the best.
Dip. Rock and roll cabbie goes for the community dip. Okay.
I don't know. Whoever said this conversation is depressing, I think this is good. I think it was great. The person I wanted them to move more than anybody was Stastny. It made a ton of sense. It's not that I didn't like him. I'm glad they got to move him. I'm glad we got a pick out of it. Puts us in a way more comfortable position. We don't have to act hastily on anything else at this point. Now, I keep hearing that they want Pietrangelo. We don't have that money available yet. We'd have to make another move to make that. Either the Fleury move's got to happen, or somebody else like Schmidt. I guess the other ones I would think about would be Marchessault. I wouldn't
Well,
want to
Marchessault
touch.
would have been gone a long time ago if not for Gerard Gallant loving him. So it makes sense to move
What
on
were
from
you
him,
hearing on
too.
Patches?
Somebody pointed that out. I mean, I think from what I understand, there was just a lot of conversation with a lot of different guys just trying to figure out where to go and what they could get and who they could dump. And that was just one of the possibilities. I don't think
It's
that's
a
a guy
hard one.
I don't think that's a guy they're actively trying to shop though at all.
I don't think it's a marketable contract value yet either under this cap. $7 million for what, 6 more years or something? It's a lot of years.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's for somebody who's 32 now. I don't think that's a really marketable contract.
No.
All right.
Fourth down gate is really taking off, by the way.
What is?
So I don't know if you watched the end of the football game. I know we were going to talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
It was fourth down. The Buccaneers were trying to drive to get a potential game-winning field goal, and Brady had a pass on third down that probably was not a wise decision. And then he's like lining up, like, all right, fourth down, let's go. And he's like, fourth down, and they're like, that was fourth down. Like, it's Bears ball now, and he clearly didn't know that it was fourth down. Yep. And I just watched a video. I didn't hear the sound, but Bruce Arians was asked, and he's like, he knew it was fourth down, and then he just goes like he knows he's lying, and he's just ashamed. He's ashamed to talk about it. And apparently, Tom Brady was asked, "Did you know it was fourth down?" And he said, "We just didn't execute."
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is getting up there in age. He can't be tracking downs like that. You got to give him some heads up,
senility for sure.
Yeah, right. You got to be, hey, Tom. Just a reminder, this is fourth down. Big play here.
Oh, it's great. So great. And we didn't do it on the show today, but the center reference to Brady just made me think about it. That like Brady is just like vigilant with his centers about staying dry. Like he makes them like pad up between their legs like the whole game. Wear like a bunch of towels.
Oh God!
Powdering up and shit. Otherwise, he doesn't want his hands to get all damp.
Yeah, the center said like he had heard about it, and he said the day Brady signed, he called him up and he's like, "Here's what you do. You got to wear a towel down there." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "You're wearing a towel during the game. You're not getting wet." Like, okay.
Is he all over there with Gold Bond? Just
yeah. He makes him powder up. He makes the center powder up.
No swamp ass. I'm not touching swamp ass. I don't blame him.
No. It's great.
That's great.
Brady's a psychopath.
Oh man.
My poor Padres, man. They're done for.
Yeah.
Brady's an ODB with the over 1.5 on the touchdowns for Brady. Minus 155. By the way, that was a terrible game in terms of aggression. The fucking field goal fest, and Nagy deserved to lose the game. Playing for a field goal down the stretch is just so stupid.
No, he didn't play for a field goal. That was the problem.
No, he should have been aggressive. They didn't execute.
A minute 30 left. They're in field goal, well within field goal range. Tampa has one timeout.
41-yarder is not within field goal range for me.
Yeah. On second down, he took a deep shot that was incomplete when you have to make Tampa Bay use their last time out there. So then you could run the clock on third down to run it down. Now you leave Tampa. It worked, but you leave Tampa a minute and a half. One timeout left. You have second down in field goal range. You have to run it twice or run short passes to make them use the timeout. Instead, they take a deep shot down the field that's incomplete, and you let Tampa keep a timeout.
He started doing that. He started doing it before that, though, playing for the field goal. They get the ball back at like their own 47, first play run. Like, come on, try to move the ball and be aggressive. Give yourself both options. Get a close field goal so that you can then kind of make the decision and not be, second and third and long all the time.
Yeah, he ran it into the line on first down to run it down to the 2-minute warning, which I don't love. I hate that. But he ran it down to run to the 2-minute warning, and then they're like, all right, now we start the drive, which why waste a play? I don't understand that.
I mean, I'd take either of those quarterbacks or either of those coaches over what the Raiders have.
I don't know, man. The Raiders tried to get Brady. They made a run.
I didn't want Brady necessarily. There's some other options, but he's certainly better than Carr.
You want BDN? Carr's playing fine.
No.
I mean, there's
no. Ever since you said on air about how when something goes wrong, it's a we, and
Yeah.
something goes right, it's an I. I
Yeah.
can't get past that, and I hear it and I see it when he's not even talking. I'm like, fucking guy doesn't take responsibility for himself.
He is playing fine, but it is going to be his downfall if things, as things get worse, and they're going to get a little worse here because they're playing good teams. As things get worse, and he keeps saying we or us, and then take subtle shots at the offensive line, guys are going to start turning on him. Like there's going to be a lack of patience for that bullshit, and obviously it went to the charity deal too. Like you were the one out there throwing the football and pictured 2 feet from someone, and then you come in the next day and you could have done what Pat Mahomes did, right? Pat Mahomes came in today and he's like, you know what? I had a mental lapse. It's my fault. I'm the one I got to pay attention. Like me. Derek Carr, I swear would have been like we in that case. Even where he's hugging it, he would have like, well, we've done a good job and we let our guard down. And like, it may not be killing him right now, but I'm telling you that seeps into a team and the team starts looking around and they're like, what? Like I wasn't me. Like I bet you Mo Hurst thinking about it now is like because Mo Hurst wasn't there. But like
you got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah, I got it now. And what do you mean we and us? Like I wasn't there. I wear my mask. I already had a heart condition. Like I don't need this shit.
Well, and I watched the game last week, not because I'm a fan, because I like to be critical now. It's nice to be objective on a home team because I just don't care for him. And watching him get stripped of that football, he starts barking and pointing at the offensive lineman. It's like, bro, you're the one who stepped up into the pocket, and the guy didn't even swat the ball barely. You ran into him as you tried to step up into the pocket and make a throw, and the ball fell out because you weren't even in a throwing motion. Like, and then he's just pointing at everybody else, like, hey, why don't you hold on to the fucking football?
We talked about Trent Brown a little bit. I don't think he's going to be available, so I'm going to flip this around. Anyone who didn't see this, we're going to change the bit. So I heard that some rando sent in a tape to try out for right tackle. So let me punch this up. We're going to grade the blocking technique. Can this guy actually fill in? I mean, right off the street, right off the farm. Can he fill in for Trent Brown in the next 2 weeks? You got to watch this blocking technique. It's beautiful. This fellow's lined up against about a 600-pound cow. So let's watch the feet are beautiful. The feet, the leverage. Now he's getting a little help. There's a hold on the play, but the feet and the leverage are just wonderful. Pancake him! Oh, I didn't hear the cow the first time. Wow, nice job. Come on, Trent Brown right now with that calf. Come on, he can't do this.
He's got such good form here. He's got the knees bent. He's got a center of gravity low. That's not a full-grown cow, I believe. That's a young one. So I'm not so sure about your 600-pound analogy. You can tell that that's a youngin, but I don't know if it's so much blocking scheme or more grappling, because he switches right here from the collar tie, near side knee, near side single to a double. No, he gets a double. Sweeps it to the double, keeps his head on the side. That's proper technique. You got to push with the head and sweep the legs. He does it perfectly. Watch, he drops down here to get those legs. He's going to switch to a double here, which I like. That's a good move. Right here. Right down to the double, and then you use the head, pull the legs across. That's perfect. Wow. Great technique.
Well, I mean, you don't often have somebody holding on to the guy's legs.
Look at the cow. The poor cow's like, I'm getting pancake. This sucks.
and good tag team here. The other guy was doing the same thing on the backside with the legs. Yeah. Double sweep. Great job. Impressive. I like it. Yeah.
It was solid. No question. I would say it's definitely better than Trent Brown because this guy's actually on the field.
Yeah.
What's the best ability, Adam?
Availability.
Exactly. This guy's available right now. Big Trent's not. And then the impressive pancake. The impressive pancake at the end, the way they turns the defensive cow.
And he goes to full mount, too. Watch this. Right to full mount. Boom. Great transition.
I didn't like I didn't like how easily the cow gave up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that cow's a yearling, man. That's a young cow.
He's just like, all right, you got me.
That's a 5th round grade. That the cow's got to get a lot more fight in him.
Yeah.
Come on now.
He's not going to make it to the rodeo anytime soon.
Just so you know,
Kale Sanders. The guy's 47. Kale Sanderson's like, all right, eligibility. We can do this.
Just so you know, I was very close to saying something that I would have never been on the air anywhere ever again.
Wow. Okay.
Thank God. Thank God.
Did it have something? Was it something like this? Gets pancake that then gets served with pancakes?
No, way worse.
Only a Madden rating of 68. Is that the blocker or the cow defensive lineman?
That cow is no Aaron Donald.
I think the cow had a better fight than the deer against the bear. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think so.
We're
not playing it again. Can't do it.
Yeah, the cow lives to fight another day.
Yeah. All right, one more time. Let's watch the whole thing.
Look at the feet.
It really is.
Oh, now. This guy over here on the side's like grabbing at his belt like he's going to do something. He was just watching the whole thing go down. He had nothing to help out with.
It just quit, though. It just quit. Fuck that cow. It sucks. Just gave up. Yeah, you got me.
Hey, man, somebody's yanking on his tail the whole time. That can't be great.
Well, that's holding or a chop block or something. You can't go low when he's engaged high.
We did the great thing is we did talk about this today about getting driven back a lot. Like Derek Carr would have complained that they didn't handle the cow the right way. Like the blocker got pushed into Derek Carr's throwing lane. So
yeah.
You know who loves our animal talk is Darren Millard.
Did he go crazy?
Oh, when we were off the air at break, he was just like, "This animal talk is great." He's like, "I gotta see these videos," and I was showing him. He's like, "Oh, it's fantastic." He was loving every minute of it.
They can do it.
He loved the sheep on the trampoline.
Oh, it's the best. We didn't get to break that one down too much. You want me to find it? Because I know you had a real problem with the sheep and the form.
Yeah, the sheep.
Oh, let's get it.
Sucks.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one. Let's see it.
Oh, first of all, how do you feel about do you have a trampoline, Justin?
I do not.
You have one for the kids? Like,
no.
I feel like
my kids are in gymnastics though. They're on the trampoline often. Yes,
but I feel like this trampoline, maybe it's a safety measure because it does seem safer, but it's built into the ground, so they must have dug like a huge hole.
Oh yeah,
circle, and then put the trampoline at ground level.
Yeah, that's the play.
Okay,
that allows you to do double bounces with impunity, mostly impunity.
Not the sheep. This sheep is like, I'm a single bounce guy. I fucking hate him.
I mean, dude, I remember growing up with those trampolines. I had a buddy who had one of the ones. It wasn't in ground like that, it was above ground. And he had a 2-story house. And we used to just we had fucking sleepovers. We put blankets on the trampoline and jump off the 2nd story of the house.
Of course.
Of course. Dude. Yeah. You still flew all over the place, dude. It's crazy. Of course.
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, there is almost nothing better than an animal discovering like the joy of a trampoline, where it's just like, whoa, this is cool. I've never seen this before. And just find
it. You got it?
Oh, your whole thing is your whole thing are animals doing human things, right?
Animals doing human things is my favorite thing in the world. Yeah.
Right. Okay. A bear scalping a potential bear trainer in Russia. Not really what we were looking for, right?
No, that's a bear thing. That's a bear doing a bear thing. I don't like that. Yeah. like animals doing human things.
Let me see this.
But yeah. So this guy.
This is clearly their sheep. Okay.
So he should know better.
Oh yeah.
No, but I don't like that he's.
Yeah, come on, keep it going.
Yeah, he's single bounce guy. Like, dude, you're on a trampoline. Let's go. And don't.
It's kind of funny. It really is.
It's funny. It's funny, yeah. But he's like, shouldn't he know? Like, oh, this is cool. I can just bounce again. Like, he's so scared that he keeps his feet just find the trampoline and stick.
Look at the ups.
He just start bouncing.
Look at the ups.
That is some pretty good ups. I do like
you need to get a mountain goat on that sucker. He probably start doing flips and shit.
It's true. I do.
Those guys.
But it only bounced once. I do like that they have the slide position.
Yes.
Slide down the slide and then bounce off the trampoline. That's just good work by this family. But this sheep is dumb as a rock. You start bouncing.
He's a sheep, bro.
I know.
You shouldn't be expecting a lot out of sheep.
Is that a sheep? Is it a goat? What is it? It is a sheep, right?
No, it's a sheep. Yeah.
But was he shaved? They took the wool away from him?
He's got some wool on there, right?
Not enough.
Yeah, Brady's not happy with the shape of the sheep.
Yeah.
Wait, did I get that? Yeah, the shape of the sheep. Sheep's out of shape.
Sheep brown.
Yeah.
He's dumb as a sheep.
I have to say, I'm a little disappointed in this video.
In the sheep?
Yeah. The best part of the video to me is the kids laughing.
It's Orlando Woolridge.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He's starting. You know what? You give him enough time, he might figure it out there. He's starting to figure it out.
He's getting it.
Could he? You know what? Could a sheep tear its ACL doing this though?
Oh, I'm sure, dude.
Like,
any ligament that
likely?
exists in any leg of any animal on a trampoline is suspect to be completely blown out.
It's probably true. Yeah.
You're pretty
Poor
safe
sheep.
if you're on there by yourself, though. But once the double bounces start coming, you know.
Sheep.
World B sheep. Pretty good.
Oh, I do like envision the sheep having to go see like Dr. James Andrews after this. He's like, God damn it. I'm out.
The dreaded
I don't
MC
think-
sheep.
I don't think that's nearly as good as the cow video. Cow video
By
is
the way,
great.
how long is nobody ever going to catch up to Dr. James Andrews? Like
Right?
he's just going to be the guy forever?
Maybe there is another guy. He just doesn't like the pub.
Yeah, I guess so. Where's I mean, it's on his knee. I don't think a sheep has a knee though. Yeah,
Yeah, no, sheep's got knees. Yeah.
it's like
I mean,
it's one straight leg.
They have,
No,
do
their legs bend. Their
they have
legs bend.
four? Do they have 4 knees or 2 knees and 2 elbows?
They got
That's
4
a great
knees.
point. That's a great point, actually.
They're not
No,
armed.
they have 4. They don't. They have 4 legs. They're a 4-legged animal. They're not a 2-legged, 2-armed animal. No, get out of here.
He tore his
So-
UCL in the elbow.
So then going back, when I was talking about measuring the cow, I was asking on air today, is the cow, do you measure it ground to the top of the head or, on all 4 legs, or do you measure it height-wise if it's on hind legs? Because it's either like 4'9", it's like 4'9", 500 or 6'7", 400.
God, I wish I had my partner Matt on here. He grew up on a farm in North Dakota. Cows, man, that was his world. But I don't think you measure to the head, right? Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
What are
you don't
withers?
measure
What the fuck's a wither?
up to the top of the back of the spine, right? The height of the spine when they're on all 4s.
But what if he stands up like this though? Like
No, nobody stands up like that. No cow does.
the cow did. The cow did in that video.
Yeah.
The cow was like this. His arms were up. He's a tall cow.
He's the king of the fucking of the farm right now. He's the tallest
Yeah.
cow out there.
Do we make the transition to anything serious here?
We gotta do legal topics.
We don't have
That's
to.
what we do. That's what we do here.
Dude, James Andrews is 78. Nope.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing surgery on me at that age.
No,
Ain't
hell
happening.
God, this is
Oh.
back-to-back weeks. You've been a terrible ageist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's true.
All right, well, let's get to one of the stories of the last couple of days, and that was the plot of 6 dudes in Michigan to kidnap the governor. So, how serious is this? I mean, it's freaking really serious. What kind of charges could they face? Like, what's the ultimate outcome of something like that? Another case of clear domestic terrorism.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's technically 7 people involved in this conspiracy to overthrow the government of Michigan, and part of it is they're planning how to get to the governor's summer vacation home or what have you, or wherever her vacation home is. It's on a lake. They're going to boat over there and take her. But there's only 6 people charged because the 7th was an FBI informant. So
Oh wow.
the FBI was in on it from the very get-go. Like the FBI knew about this. They allowed it to develop to whatever levels they could. And the part of it that's real dumb is these youngsters said, you know what, 7's not enough. We need to spread the word and recruit more people. So they were talking to neighbors and everybody else about trying to recruit to kidnap the governor and overthrow the government of Wisconsin. And so, yeah, they got caught. They're going to absolutely face jail time. These are felony counts, multiple felony counts. And because the FBI was in on it from the get-go, I mean, they've got the goods.
We talk about results-based thinking all the time. Like, shouldn't they be charged as if they actually did it?
Well, attempt is like, yeah, the punishment for attempt can be equal to the crime itself. It depends on state statutes. This is a federal crime, actually, but it depends on the statutes associated in a specific state. But you can be punished for murder even if you don't kill somebody if you attempted murder. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no shit. Well, and that was found on like their computers or phones that they had sort of adopted that as their motto was "Liberate Michigan," which, if for those who don't know, was a tweet from Donald Trump.
No. Where's the tweet? Show me the tweet.
Yeah, it's gone. Twitter deleted
He started. Right? Yeah, he started. Oh, Twitter did it, or President Trump did it?
I think Twitter did.
Oh wow,
they took it down.
Trump hasn't done anything in 36 hours. He hasn't been seen. So the Where's Trump hashtag is going strong. When we talk about informants in a situation like this, how much leeway do they have? Like he was involved in the planning, right? And he was like one of the guys because he was pretending, to inform. But how much leeway do they have? Like, if these guys are sitting around like, yeah, we should do something, and then some guy's like, yeah, let's go actually do it. And they're like, yeah. Now, can we get all these guys for like agreeing to do it?
So you got to be careful of 2 things. Number one is the informant, remember, is not an employee of the FBI, right? He's just a regular dude. And so he went to them, I'm guessing, went to them and said, look, this stuff is fucking out of hand. Like, these guys are talking about all this shit. They're trying to recruit me. And they're like, cool, let them recruit you. You're going to have immunity. But then if he goes to one of these rallies and pulls out a gun and shoots somebody in the head, they'll be like, not that kind of immunity, right? Like, you have immunity for what they are organizing. So you got to be careful. Secondly, if he is an informant and he is acting at the direction and behest of the FBI, you don't want to give an entrapment defense, which is that I wasn't even going to do this shit. But then this dude comes over and is like, let's do this shit. And I'm like, all right. You would have an argument that you had been entrapped. It has to the origination of the plan, the execution of the plan you don't want that coming from the informant. Technically, as an informant, entrapment doesn't apply because he's not a member of the FBI or law enforcement. But you could, I think, depending on the involvement between the informant and the FBI and what kind of direction the FBI was giving him, then he could be seen as acting as an agent on their behalf.
Like, you reference it there, but I'll just follow up, like, in a weird situation. Say, like, they're, he goes to the FBI and he's like, all right, look, they're recruiting me. They want me to do this. They're doing this crazy shit. And the FBI is like, all right, cool. You have immunity. Like, just tell us everything that's going on. And he goes out there to, like, some meeting with them. And they're like, hey, we need to know that you're really part of this. You have to go kill that guy.
Right.
Like, how much, obviously, if you went and killed him, the immunity doesn't extend to that, as you pointed out. Like, that doesn't apply. But how would they, and I guess this is more an FBI question than a lawyer question, I guess, but, like, how would they tell you, like, yeah, don't do that? And if they're like, well, we're going to kill you, then, like, what does this person do?
Yeah, I mean, if they're like, prove it, kill this dude or get the fuck out of here, then he has an out. If he gets put into a situation where they put a gun to his head and he said, and kill that dude, right? Then he's going to have a defense that, like, hey, I was not acting willfully, right? I was compelled to do it. I'm not responsible for those actions. And that would be a valid defense to present to a jury, right? It would be allowed to go to a jury to make the determination of whether or not they felt that the compulsion was in fact there, that he didn't actually have a choice and he wasn't doing this willingly. Because yes, there are crimes of murder that do not involve intent. And as we've talked about, mens rea, right? That's like involuntary manslaughter. I didn't intend on doing any of this stuff. But this is even a step below that, which is I didn't want to do this.
Right.
You know, my intention was not to do this, but I was compelled by threat of violence to do it or be killed. And so I think that he would be okay in those situations. And I think what would end up happening is it not that whoever got murdered wouldn't seek justice. They would charge the person who put the gun to the head of the informant with murder. Just because he didn't pull the trigger doesn't mean he's not the murderer.
Right.
What happens with terrorism charges? Like, are there such things? What happens when it's domestic, international? When do they decide to, use it domestically?
That's a good question. I mean, you're going to see terrorism charges in federal cases. So terrorism is going to be about an ideology to overthrow the government or to interfere with the government and its laws and codes in a way that's meant to be disruptive. I'm not giving a very good definition, but it's going to have to do with attacking the structure of the government or the ideas behind the structure, right? So in 9/11, take out the Pentagon, it still would have been terrorism charges if they only hit the Twin Towers, even though those weren't government buildings, because the purpose behind what they were doing was to threaten the United States. That's why they did it. It wasn't that they had a particular target on whatever floor of the Twin Towers. The drive, the intent, the mens rea was about death to the United States and attacking the fabric upon which the theories and the belief system upon which our government sits. But
right.
Yeah, it's broad. It's not, it's a very broad criminal statute that can, I think, bring in a lot of different types of crimes.
Next up, some jury duty. Saw this story the other day. No, that's actually an old story, but I never saw it, so I don't think we covered it. You can get kicked out of a jury pool for supporting Black Lives Matter, and then the question is, but is that legal? California appeals court to decide. Yeah.
So, and funny enough, Nevada has already heard this issue and said, not cool. Now, the thing that's tough about this is you can't make this a blanket rule, I don't think. So what happens in a jury trial, I'll try to make this quick and concise and understandable. What happens in a jury trial is before the jury's impaneled, there's a whole shitload of people in the room that could be potential jurors. And they have 12 in the box, and they keep bringing people into the box. And the attorneys get an opportunity to ask the jurors questions. And they may also have a jury questionnaire that they have filled out, written questions for each juror when they come in. And the point about jury questioning, which is called voir dire, is to determine whether there are any inherent biases or prejudice within the jury pool as it applies to the specific facts of this case that would allow one of the attorneys to say, not fair, impartial, kick them out. And that's for cause. They can make those challenges to as many jurors as they want. If they find cause, they kick them out, right? So in what I do, if I'm asking a juror, have you ever been involved in a car accident before? Yeah, I was involved in a car accident. Okay, were you the plaintiff or were you the defendant? I was the defendant. I barely tapped the dude. All these lawyers came in. My insurance company bent over backwards, paid this guy. There's no way he was even hurt. I've got no faith in our civil justice system as it pertains to car accidents. I'm going to say, Your Honor, I challenge this juror. And what you'll see on TV and what you'll see in real life is a question that'll come from the judge or the attorney, which says, okay, with all that being said, could you set aside that experience and listen to the facts of this case and decide fair and impartially? And they always say yes. To which I say, bullshit, right? Like, you can't erase. The point of the question is, can I find something in this person's story, their history, their being, their belief system that is inherent to them, that is biased against my client? If I find that, you can't tell me that any person can say, or that any person can be expected to ignore those biases and that they won't subconsciously affect the way they interpret the facts that are being presented to them. I was just listening, doing my continuing legal education literally today on voir dire, and one of these attorneys who was teaching the class is super good, and he says, when I get this question and the judge says, can we set aside the bias and can you fair rule? He's like, listen, Your Honor, if you ask, Adolf Hitler, can you treat the Jews fairly? He'd say, yeah, I already am, right? Like, he does not see what he's doing to be a problem. And your ignorance cannot correct itself. Your ignorance has no self-control, okay? And so, so that's the long-winded way on cause. Now, what can also happen is I can kick somebody off just because I want to. These are called peremptory challenges, and I have, in my trials, I usually have 2, can be 4 if we got a big jury pool, if it's gonna be a big case, right? And I could just say, we're getting rid of that one, and we're getting rid of that one, right? And it could be more depending on, high profile is gonna have more peremptory challenges, 8, 12, whatever. Now, if there is a question posed and a challenge made either for cause or a peremptory challenge, and the basis of that challenge, the other attorney thinks is based on race, ethnicity, national origin, they can make what's called a Batson challenge. And it's based on a Supreme Court case, and they were saying, Your Honor, they are kicking this juror off because she's Black. The question about Black Lives Matters was intended as a pretextual basis to kick off the Black juror. Okay. Now, why do I say we can't make that a blanket rule? Because it matters in a Batson challenge what the jury pool looks like. In this case in California, she was the lone Black person in the jury box at the time of the question. And every one of the defendants who was being charged was Black. And so I think in this situation, they asked her, do you support Black Lives Matter? She says, I do. I don't go to any rallies or anything, but I do believe in Black Lives Matters. And they kicked her off for cause, saying somebody who supports Black Lives Matters cannot look at law enforcement without bias.
Wow.
So the question becomes, if we're really sort of digging this up, is if they ask that question of anybody and they kicked off a white person too, they might have some sort of basis.
Right.
And their basis would say, you have a bias against our system of justice, but the system is the system and you can't put that bias aside. And therefore you're not eligible to sit on a jury to determine fault or guilt based on investigators' findings. But if they ask only Black people, whether or not they support Black Lives Matters, then, and your defendants are Black, it's all added context to say, if I'm the defense counsel saying, no, bullshit, they're saying Black Lives Matters, they're just using that as a basis to kick off all the Black people because my people are Black. They don't care about the cause of Black Lives Matters. They just care about the color of my client's skin, especially when she's the only black person here. Now, if there was the entire jury pool was black, and she's the only one who said, I support Black Lives Matters, and they kicked her out, I think it would be a harder sale.
Right. Aaron says, can I always get out of jury duty by saying that I hate insert race or religion here?
That's a decent way to get yourself convicted of contempt of court and put in jail for 12 or 24 hours.
What if it's true?
Like what?
Like if you belong to like a hate group,
okay,
and you just disclose, you go in and you're like, hey, before we even start this, I just need to disclose, like, I am, anti-Semitic or whatever. I belong to this group.
Yeah. So if it's true and you're asked the question and you answer it truthfully, that's fine. That doesn't necessarily mean you get kicked off the jury. And they may want to keep you for whatever reason. Both sides might want to keep you. But what has happened, what does happen, is people out of turn blurting out,
Right.
Hey, I hate all black people, especially you, defendant, in a theatrical effort to get kicked off of the jury.
That's pretty good.
Those ones usually go into jail for a little bit.
Oh crap! All right, that's not good.
By the way, we are restarting juries.
They're starting again. Yeah,
I got a jury duty notice yesterday.
Yep, they're doing tests.
Why are we doing this?
Well, they are experimenting. Well, why are they doing it? Because there's people sitting in jail who might not be guilty.
Okay.
They're not doing civil juries. They're only doing criminal juries right now. Okay. And I don't know that they have come up with the exact system that they're ultimately going to utilize, but they have experimented with remote jury. I saw that happen the other day. I don't know how they felt that went, that each juror was, in the building, but in separate places, spaced out from each other and viewing the jury or viewing the trial through a monitor. I don't think that's great, because the jury is going to pay attention to all kinds of different things that may not be where the camera's pointed. And so now, arguably, you get a more true result that way because the jury's not distracted by a bunch of other bullshit, like expressions of the parties or the judge, sneezing or what have you. But they might be missing out on something that they think is important. And the fact of the matter is the right to jury trial is in the Constitution for a reason. People get to decide. And so, I'm supportive of getting the juries going again, especially in criminal matters, right? Like these people have to have their day in court. I think we have rapid testing procedures right now that we can implement on juries. And we should be. I mean, hell, if we're doing it for fucking football, we could do it to find out whether or not somebody deserves to be in jail or not.
Yeah, do I have an excuse of its season? I'm an NFL beat writer and the season's going. I can't go to jury duty.
Worst excuse you can make is like, hey, I've got a job and I need to make money. They hate that. Like, everybody's got a job. Everybody, if that excuse was permitted, the only people that would be on juries would be students and retired people. And you're not going to get a jury of your peers. Like when I'm doing jury selection, somebody says like, I really need to get off this jury because I work. Here's what I do. And I'm like, oh, I want that guy. Like, that's a real person. That's somebody I can reason with.
Oh, wow. Okay. So warning everyone, don't say that.
Well, I don't know that everybody agrees with me on that, but I want as close to normal people as possible. I want people that have to go to work. I want people that have busy lives. I want people that are in the world engaged, because they're more likely to understand the ebb and flow of the facts of the case.
I want to go back to an old story talking about BLM. Are you done? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've told the story before. I won't tell the whole story, but last time I was on jury duty, they were going to kick me off for working at the newspaper. They didn't. They kept me on the jury, and we did a big expose on the actual case. I was a juror on day 2.
So you got to sit.
I was, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's cool.
And then they called me in the day we did the big expose on the actual case that I was a juror on.
Yeah.
And they were like, did you have anything to do with this? Did you leak this information? Did you talk to them? I was like, no. And they said, have you read the story? And I had skimmed it. I was like, no, I didn't. I was like, because there was a whole thing before the trial started that they were like, well, this is a high profile case. Are you going to be reading the newspaper? And I was at the time I was an editor, and I was like, well, yeah, I have to read every single thing that's in the paper. And they were like, well, if there is a story on this trial, can you skip it? And I'm like, I can try, but my job is to kind of read it. And they were like, well, you're gonna have to do your best. And I was like, how am I still on this jury? Like, why are you not just kicking me off right now? Like, what are we doing?
Because it was a criminal.
No.
The civil case.
Yeah.
I mean, because most likely is both sides believe that they were actually right and they wanted smart jurors on the case. That's probably why. Generally speaking, if you think you have a good case, the more educated the jurors you have, the better for your case. Especially, I mean, if it's personal injury, it's a little bit different on personal injury. But before I did personal injury work, right, I was doing contract disputes. I represented construction companies a lot. Most of my first jury trials were on construction cases or breach of contract cases. Most construction cases are arbitration by contracts, but I wanted the smart. If I felt I had a good case and I felt like the law was on my side and the facts were on my side, I wanted the smart people. And if I saw the other side agreeing with who, nobody's striking anybody, or we want to strike the same people, then they are thinking the same thing, that they have a good case. If I don't have a good case, I want all the educated people off. I'm kicking them all off.
That's awesome. Someone said, CJ Cards fan says, what if you show them you can't afford to be out of work or you may lose your home?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Wow. Sweet.
I mean, you might get a judge who says, okay, I'm going to let you go. I mean, if you came with like foreclosure papers or something and a payment plan, maybe that would get you there. But just for an instance, I went to law school with a young lady who it took her 5 years to get through law school, which is normally 3, because in her second year, she got put on a jury of a criminal case, sexual assault of minors at a daycare where there was 200 plus alleged incidents and victims, and the trial took over a year and a half. So every day she had to go, and they were sequestered. So she literally had to get a leave from school and sit on a jury for a year and a half.
Let's take a break from some of the legal stuff because we're getting our heads bashed in by Chris at Naked City. We didn't get to the Titans having to reschedule their game, push it back. Now the Bills are going to play the Titans on Tuesday.
I'm very excited by this.
What is the wait? Do they get screwed on weekly pay in a prime? Well, the primetime game is.
Who cares?
They get paid.
Well, they don't if they forfeit, but they're going to get paid because they're not forfeiting.
Right.
Bills fans are losing their mind about this. Do you really want to have 3 days to prepare for the Chiefs? Is that what you want? Like, you're getting a huge break. The Bills fans are out of their fucking minds. They're getting a massive break here. And I keep seeing them complain on Twitter. You should be celebrating like fucking crazy. It's nuts.
Is the game more important if you beat the Titans? Isn't that important?
Of course it is.
If the Titans are so effed up that you get an easy win, you need the wins too. Like, are the Bills fans thinking they're going to be like in a head-to-head tie at the end of the year? Like,
yes.
Home field come down to Bills? Yeah. Oh my God!
Yes, that's what they think. That's what they're nuts.
I mean, I'm Las Vegas's number one Josh Allen stan now, but come on, even I am not that delusional that you're not finishing 13-3, you're not finishing 14-2. Cut it out.
Do they have a chance to beat the Chiefs? Sure. I don't think it's a great chance. They have a chance, but at the same, you're getting extra time to prepare for them.
Chris, why would you want to ever play the Chiefs on a Thursday after playing during the weekend? Thursday night football sucks balls.
It's so dumb.
It's the worst thing for the integrity of football.
Here's the other thing. You're basically getting a free – if you don't beat the Titans, who haven't practiced in 2 weeks and have 20 players on the COVID list, what are you even doing? You're getting basically a free win and extra time to prepare for the Chiefs. This is a massive break for the Bills. A massive break.
All right.
These people are nuts. I'm seeing them all over Twitter. Like, what are they talking about?
Justin, what happens in the NFL in terms of like an appeal? This would be a hell of a case because we know the NFLPA has the backs of the players. Like the NFLPA is going to step up, for the Raiders, and they are going to appeal some of the fines, to this point, like the charity gala fines. But what happens, like we were talking about worst case scenario, if the Titans had to have the game canceled, right? And this keeps going on. Like they get positive tests tomorrow. It just keeps going on. Adam, you said the rumor was what? They could get slammed with a $10 million fine and Vrabel could be suspended for the rest of the season?
Vrabel suspended the rest of the year, $10 million fine is the chatter.
Do you have any clue, like, who backs coaches? How would he appeal? And that's a hell of a penalty. Rest of the season and no pay?
Yeah, I'm sure that I don't know this for a fact, but I have to imagine that the collective bargaining agreement includes provisions pertaining to coaches, because if they can be fined, then they're going to have some rights too. So I imagine you'd have to go through the appeal process that's set in the collective bargaining agreement, which would be, probably appeal to the commissioner and then to an arbitrator afterwards.
And to Jay Lawrence's question, there was talk about making the Titans forfeit, but then the Bills players don't get paid. So that's why the Bills don't want to take a forfeit victory.
You should.
That's in the CBA.
Yeah, the Titans' money should go to the Bills players.
Well, the Titans don't get paid either, so
right.
No, there's no money to be made if there's no game.
Yeah.
So they don't want the forfeit. It is a free win. The Titans haven't practiced in 2 weeks, and they have a bunch of players out. It should be a free win.
Yeah, rock and roll cavies got me summed up. Bills suck, Raiders suck. I don't care about either.
We talked a lot about COVID lawsuits at the front end of this whole thing. And a lot of it was, workplace, restaurants, bars, and you were just like, you can't go after anyone. You're screwed. This White House thing is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that, the last week, I think Vietnam, the entire country, has had 6 positive COVID tests. The White House is up to 34 this week. You can't sue a sitting president, but if you got seriously ill and you could prove negligence, that they knew they were positive, like Kayleigh McEnany, right? The White House press secretary, if she knew she was positive and she's sitting there unmasked talking to press members, and then a press member has COVID, and how many have COVID now, Adam? Is it 3 at least?
At least 3, yeah.
And they get seriously ill, right? They die. Hospital bills beyond belief. Who do they go after, if anyone? Is the entire executive branch protected against lawsuits where they're, if they're clearly negligent? Like in the case of Kayleigh McEnany, if she knew and wasn't distancing and wasn't masking and didn't reveal that she was positive, nothing can be done? You have no recourse?
No, you can sue. Yeah, you can make it. There's a federal claims procedure that you can make against the federal government for negligence. Like, for instance, one of the ones that happens most often is, a post office driver gets into a car accident. You can make that claim against the federal government. So you can't sue a president civilly in person, against their person,
right,
while they're in office. That doesn't apply here. Yeah, you could. I mean, they're acting in their capacity as elected officials. There's no doubt about that when they're spreading this. And the argument would be that they're acting negligently. Now,
so would you, if you had a big lawsuit and you got sick, you want damages, would you load up a lawsuit? Like if you think you traced it to the big super spreader event, which was the Amy Coney Barrett event, do you just start looking around and you're like, man, this is great. I mean, we're talking millionaires all over the place. You know what? Fuck this. I'm going after Notre Dame for the president. I'm going after the Vatican. Let's go.
It depends on the facts of the case, right? If my client is there maskless and sitting next to everybody and participating in it, then I don't feel great about my chances. Right. The press one is a better argument because it's work related. It's my job to be here. By all accounts, every time I see the press briefings, the press are in masks. And so the Barrett nomination is, you don't have to go to that, right? Like, it's not part of it might be part of some people's jobs, but you certainly don't have to go sit next to everybody without mask, person to person, 15 rows deep, 10 across 2 different aisles. Like that, you put yourself in a bad situation there. The press seem to be distanced. They seem to be wearing masks. They're taking all the precautions that they see that they can take, and yet the people who are talking to them don't appear to be taking the necessary precautions. I like that claim better than somebody who's at the Barrett hearing or nomination.
When we talk about not being able to sue the president, it's when he's acting in his capacity as the president, right? Like
no. So you can't sue a president in civil court for acts during their tenure, right? So this is the Paula Jones, Bill Clinton issue. The Supreme Court allowed Bill Clinton to be sued in civil court for an act that occurred before he became president. It doesn't have to be official duties, but if you're in office, what they've said is you still have a claim. You're not bringing it while he's president. You could bring it afterwards. But in the instance where your actions took place before you were president and then you're being sued and you happen to get into office, that suit continues. And then, yes, after he gets out of office, you can bring the claim.
Oh, boy.
No, because my question earlier, and I guess you already answered it, but the question I had about it was, sure, like whatever he does as a president, I understand why there'd be some sort of executive immunity to that. But like him last week basically accusing the Gold Star families of giving COVID to the people in the White House, when it's pretty clear he already knew that there was an outbreak in the White House and he was trying to pass it on to somebody else, is absolutely defamatory. So like, but that's not actionable because he's the president. But I would think it would be okay because he's not acting in the role as the president, really.
It's a tough distinction to make, right? I mean, I would argue if I was the president and somebody was coming after me for anything that was said and done, I'd be like, all my acts are the act of a president. I don't get to separate the two. I don't punch a clock over here. Every time I talk, I'm talking as the president of the United States. Every time, I am the president 24 hours a day. And I think that that's basically right.
So defamation is okay then?
I'm
not attacking you on that. I'm just asking.
No, I know. Well, it's certainly not going to be able to be brought during his presidency. No doubt about that. I think that for the president, the executive privilege is going to be super broad. I don't think you're going to see a defamation claim. Yeah,
I would do it just so you have to get up there and say, I didn't really believe that. I was just that was playing politics. I was the president. That was my job.
I don't
just
think he'd
file
say
the
that.
suit to make him say that.
I don't think he'd say that. Right?
Yeah, he would just use I'm president. You can't sue me.
Yep.
All right, one more sports angle. I think this one's really interesting. So, Riverboat Ron, as we call him, right? Roll the dice, live or die. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has now given approval to all the stadiums to pack them in. So, in the case of the Dolphins, you see it here. Ron DeSantis won't stop the Dolphins from packing the 65,000-seat stadium. That goes for Jax. That goes for Tampa. Goes for Florida State. Goes for Florida in Gainesville. Also goes potentially for, back to the Jacksonville Stadium when Georgia plays Florida, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Let's pack in 60,000 plus. Now, here's what's happening right now. The Dolphins are only selling 13,000 tickets. If I'm a ticket holder, we'll just use the Dolphins. If I'm a ticket holder for the Dolphins, the governor said it's okay that we can go to the games. Can I sue the Dolphins for not allowing me to go to the games? Fuck you. The governor said I can go. Why are you blocking me from going?
You don't have a right to go, right? It's about the NFL is a private enterprise. They're not owned by the public, right? I don't even know if the stadium's owned by let's say the stadium is public. I don't know if it is or isn't.
That's where I was going next.
Yeah.
Part of the improvement, I'll look it up to double check, but I'm pretty sure they got $300 or $350 million for the latest round of changes at the stadium. So that was public money. You're playing in our stadium, my stadium, as a Dade and whatever Broward resident. Let's go.
Right, but I contracted to host my event in that stadium, and I get to determine how we're going to hold that event. I think the only time you get yourself in trouble there is if there was discrimination that violated federal law, right? Based on ethnicity, race, gender, or national origin, sexual orientation, those kinds of things. But just based on wealth, not a protected class. Based on loyalty to the team, not a protected class. And so I don't think that there would be any issue there with, but you don't have any standing to sue, I don't think, in that situation.
And that's like all public venues.
In this instance, when we're talking about excluding people based on, whatever preference they come up with, as long as they don't say, the first 13,000 non-black people get to come in, then I think you're fine. You start discriminating on those protected classes, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Could Ron DeSantis sue the Dolphins and say, hey, we get tax revenue from the bigger crowds there? I've said it's good. Open the goddamn stadium. Let's go. I'm suing you.
No, not unless there was something in the stadium use agreement that gave them a right to dictate certain things like that. But, no. As long as the Dolphins are still paying for the use of the stadium. For all I know, the Dolphins still own the stadium, and there was just a capital improvement that they got some tax dollars. I don't know who owns the stadium, but let's say it's a county-owned stadium like our county-owned stadium. But as you know, there is a lease agreement that goes with that, and it dictates who has the power to make determinations on what events can be held there. The power in Las Vegas' situation resides with the Raiders. I don't know where the power resides in regards to, Florida and Miami's, but I have to imagine it's going to reside with the Dolphins to do what they want on their game days.
All right. I got one about the local stadium, and I kind of hinted at it yesterday. We never followed up on it when we did the spot with you at the Battleborn Broadcast Center.
3BC.
If the Raiders... the Raiders clearly there's an issue with the Raiders in terms of the way they're handling COVID right now, right? Respecting COVID. If UNLV had a positive test down the road after a game, what could UNLV do? I'm not saying they're doing this, but like if they looked at it and they're like, you know what, we traced it to the Raiders being here the week before, the stadium wasn't properly cleaned. Like what does UNLV do? Like who could they go after?
I mean, if they were. UNLV wouldn't be able to go after anybody, right? The standing would lie with the person who was damaged. So whoever catches COVID. The player. So what would the player do? I mean, in theory, you could do one of two things. The most logical. I mean, if I'm representing them, I'm fucking suing everybody. Let you guys figure it out. You guys all point your fingers and tell me who's wrong, right? But certainly, whoever the cleaning company is who's contracted to clean up didn't do their job. I'm suing them. I'm suing the Raiders for selecting the cleaning company, right? I'm suing whoever had anything to do with determining the protocols for the stadium and how this could happen under those protocols. That being said, would I be the one who took that case? I would not. That's not my case. Now, if let's say the NFL and the governor gives clearance to the Raiders to fill the stadium. And what they're going to do is they're going to test everybody on a rapid test, and you need 3 rapid positives before you can get in because the rapid tests aren't as consistent as the other tests that are out there. And then they just start letting people in without testing, or they don't wait until they get the results. They're like, you're good. We'll come find you if it's a positive kind of thing. And they just get really lax with their procedures. And then there's a super spreading event where tens of thousands of people catch COVID. Yeah, then I'm in.
All right. Adam, any follow-up?
No, I mean, first of all, we keep focusing on Miami. I think he said you could have full stadiums anywhere in Florida.
Oh, I said that. Yeah, I said Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I said Gainesville.
Everybody keeps talking about Miami though. So
no. You can. That's why November 7th. We've already seen the way Georgia's treating it. Georgia had students in the stands and fans in the stands last week at home. No mask, no distancing. So I don't know. I anticipate at least 30,000, and I think DeSantis is going to push to try to sell it out. I think he'll be helping sell. He'll be doing call-ins. Call the governor's office. Here's some free tickets. Like, I don't know what he's trying to prove, but he's like, yeah, let's go. Pile them in. Let's go. It's a crazy situation, but. And I think Floridians and Georgians would go. I think they'd go pack the place. It's a massive game. How big that game could be? On November 7th, because they had a lot of big games before that. That could be a freaking unbeaten battle, one-loss teams. They could be playing for the second team to get into the college football playoff. Massive stuff. I wouldn't go.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go either.
Yeah.
Kidding me?
I got off the hook for next week. I am going to New Orleans, right? Riverboat, Steve. I'm rolling the dice, but the SO was like, "Oh, we have to go to the Chargers Saints game, even if there's only like 5,000. It might be expensive, but we got to go. It's like a once in a lifetime chance." And then today, I made sure in the morning to text her. I'm like, "Sorry, the mayor in New Orleans said no fans."
Did he?
Did you get press credentials?
I wouldn't go as press. Adam knows I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't even go to local events doing that just to go watch the game.
The SO would show up in a Chargers jersey and drunk and yelling at the players. You can't have a press credential.
That's great.
Well, I certainly would not get it. Yeah. Imagine if I went and I was like, sorry, I can't get you in.
Yeah.
I just stream videos of the field. You can watch at the bar down the street.
I'm a full-fledged supporter of the SO. I'm all in. Are you still in on the Chargers, Adam, or is it over? Is the dream dead?
I mean, I really can't be a fan of anybody, but yeah,
you're done.
I'm still there.
He has a chance to play, so there's still a shot.
Yeah, still on the team.
Sure. Yeah.
No, he looks depressed. Tomorrow, we'll let you vent tomorrow. It'll be cathartic. We'll let you vent tomorrow.
I tweeted out as soon as they made the decision they had to. It's absolutely the right decision.
Okay.
First of all, Herbert's playing them out of the playoff race, so I mean, why would you play them? You got to play the young guy anyway.
Well, if I were Anthony, I would hope that Tom Telesco has his back, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to play Herbert, but you're definitely here next year." I mean, I've seen a lot of people say fire Anthony Lynn. I mean, that to me that would be absurd. And he's got his flaws. He's got to get more aggressive. The play calling by him and Steichen sometimes is weak, but they're down 11 of the 22 starters. To dump the guy would be just outrageous. And they've actually I think every one of their games has been like a one-score game, right?
Yeah, I think they've played reasonably well under the circumstances.
I mean, losing to the Panthers is inexcusable, especially
that's
but
right.
the circumstances are really it's good or bad, whatever you say. They're going to lose this week, I think, and then they should win 5 games in a row, even if you're the quarterback. So, like that would be the problem, right? If you let Herbert play here and lose, and they're 0-4 with Herbert, and you're like, well, Tyrod's healthy, he's got the job back, and then they win 5 in a row, now you're completely screwed. And so I do think they win the next 5 after this week, no matter who the quarterback is. And then what position are you in?
You're not screwed.
Tyrod's 6-0 and Herbert's 0-4. Then, like, what are you going to do?
Then you try to win and make the playoffs. And then next year, Tyrod goes bye-bye, and then Herbert takes over. You can still try and win this year. The playoffs are expanded. You can still try. If you get healthy, and we know Derwin James isn't coming back, but you can still have a good season. I mean, listen, I'm in on your tanking thing, but there are certain teams, like, it can't be 21 teams are like, well, the Chiefs are going to beat us, so fuck it, we give up. Like, that would be your goal. Like, just screw it. No one can beat the Chiefs. Like, the Chargers were right there. The Chiefs are a flawed team in some ways.
Right, but okay, here's the scenario that I'm saying. Okay, they play Herbert this week, they lose. Herbert goes to 0-4. Tyrod's healthy, he comes back in. They win 5 in a row. Like I said, the schedule after this, the next 5 games are really easy. So you win 5 in a row. So now you've got your 6-4. Tyrod is 6-0. Herbert's 0-4. And then the rest of the season is kind of like toss-up games. There's some tough games in there. Let's say you finish 8-8, 9-7, maybe just out, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Tyrod, he just went 6-0 for us, or whatever, 7-1. Justin Herbert went 0-7. Like, what the hell's going on?
How did Herbert go 7? Yeah, how did he get back in?
because once they're out, if they fall out of the race, if they win 5 or they're 6-4, maybe they go 2-2 the next 2 games, and they're like, all right, well now we're out of it. Now we're play Herbert. Like now you're in a bad spot. If Tyrod's 6-0 and Herbert's 0-4, you're in a terrible spot. That's awful. You can't have that.
You're not. It doesn't like. There's no absolutes. Stop. It's always building this anti-Herbert thing all the time. Cut it out.
It's not an anti-Herbert thing. He's played far better than anybody expected, but he keeps losing. And like I said, the Chiefs game's on him.
He keeps losing. He keeps losing. It's no one else's.
Chiefs game is on him, and the Panthers game is on him.
Stop. The fact that they were in the Chiefs game is on him.
Yes,
the fact that he played as well as he did, the fact that they were in the game is on him.
The defense dominated the game. He threw an interception when they were in field goal range to clinch the game.
You're right.
That's just a fact.
And he went 0 for 27 with 1 interception, right?
No,
he didn't complete his passes. There were no third down complete or no third down conversions. None of that.
If Justin Herbert takes a knee,
stop. This is why I don't do this on the radio show.
If Justin Herbert takes a knee, they win the game. If he takes a knee, they win the game. That's just a fact. That's a fact.
There's no fucking facts in a football game.
You're right. They could have got the ball back. Right. They could have got the ball back, taken a knee, and like fumbled or something. Okay, fine.
So none of the other plays matter. Nothing else matters. It's one fucking play in a football game.
Yeah. Go look what happened with the. Was there a bigger play in the game? If you look at win percentage probability,
I didn't ask that.
They went from like 93 to like 41 on one play.
Do other plays lead to big plays down the stretch? Yes.
Sure, but that decision, that rookie decision that he made, is the deciding factor in the game. Now, the next week, obviously that's not even debatable. It's on him. Last week he played unbelievable. Unbelievable. That loss is not on him. No chance. It's on him. He was great against Tampa Bay. Great. And I think that's the encouraging thing that you see from him. He has been way better than I thought, than almost anybody thought. But yeah. Yes, that the Panthers game is on him, and the Chiefs game is on him, for sure.
I've just been a Chargers fan too long. That's what my whole face is. Is like it. All the argument, like all my family's Chargers fans. I got most of my family lives down in San Diego, and like when my uncles and shit get all worked up about the Chargers and start arguing about it, I'm like, who fucking cares? They're gonna blow it anyway. You know they do. Like they're never gonna deliver on any potential anyway. So like, I agree that with Adam that Herbert's decision in the Chiefs game at the end cost them the game, but but I agree with Steve that his play was beyond reasonable expectations in that game to have him where he was in the first place. But yes, that decision was inexplicable for the most part why he did that, and it did absolutely cost the game, no doubt. But he's playing way better than anybody thought. I think way ahead of where you want him. And I agree. You can't then throw in Tyrod for the easy part of the schedule because then what are you doing?
Yeah,
you might have blown the confidence of your rookie. You didn't give him any of the easy wins, and you've got a quarterback that's got all your wins who you don't have signed for next year.
Yeah, it's a terrible spot. They have to make this move.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Tyrod on the Raiders would be fucking awesome.
Oh, great! Be great. Well, no, I've talked about Tyrod many times. There's limitations. He is a perfect quarterback for a team with a really good defense, and a team that is like, okay, he's going to make enough plays. He's going to keep the chains moving. He's going to keep you on the field. He's not going to turn it over. Not going to put you in bad spots. That's the team he needs to play for. Raiders, terrible defense. That's not really the team that he's ideal for. The Chargers are a team he's ideal for. Like in that Chiefs game, that's a Tyrod Taylor game. The defense dominates. You win the game with the run, and you don't turn the ball over, and you win the game. That's why he's who he is. That's a game he wins. He's not a guy that if it's 49-48, that's not his kind of game.
I can't believe all the Herbert hate in the comments. Like, what the fuck?
Well,
he's been great.
He's 0-3.
Yeah, so what?
I've never heard you talk about winning this much with other quarterbacks. I've not, and winning and losing. This is the dumbest conversation ever. You're like a deep numbers guy, and all you're doing is talking about wins and losses. This is
it's almost like I'm coming back at people's argument, isn't it? Almost like that, isn't it? It's almost like I'm using people's argument against them, isn't it? Almost like that.
Do I use that argument about winning?
No,
I do.
I'm not talking about you. I'm saying.
Well, don't argue with me using wins and losses. But
I'm not saying
just,
you.
I'm telling you from the outside, when people listen to you talk about certain players, you're so emotionally invested in going against some players. The logic becomes just stupid.
I just raved about Justin Herbert.
And I listed it.
I just raved about him.
I listed it about a week ago, and you didn't get it. You didn't get it at all. But I put all the players that you get so dug in against certain players, you can't see when they change. And then we quietly let it go. Like Russell Wilson. You shit on Russell Wilson for the first 5 years of his career and said he was.
What was my argument?
And said no. You said he was a caretaker quarterback, and now he moved the goalpost. He's like, the Seahawks are now using him the right way. That's why he's good. What was my argument on Russell Wilson? Really? What was my argument on Russell Wilson? He's a caretaker quarterback. He's akin to Trent Dilfer.
Why?
Because he's not that talented. No. I never heard they're not using him the right way. They won't let Russ cook. No, that wasn't it. It was if the team doesn't trust him, if the team sees him every day, and the team has been around him for that long, and they don't trust him to throw the ball as much as they should, they clearly don't believe in him. He must not be that good. The team, or they had a pair of shitty offensive coordinators. Right, but my argument on him was the team sees him every day. They don't believe he can throw the ball enough to win at this level. They believe he's a caretaker. That must be what he is. Now, I trusted the team on that. That was wrong. They were just idiots. You were wrong. Like, that wasn't what it was. You were wrong. Sure. He's an all-time quarterback. Okay. Yeah, but you're saying I'm ripping. I just said how great Justin Herbert's been. What are you talking? I was like, he's been far better than anybody thought he'd be. So how is that ripping him? Wait, he's been great. Then it goes to he's been far better than anyone thought he would be. Okay.
Right. Well, right. Yeah, but then
that's a low bar.
Because I asked him why there was so much hate in the comments, and he said because he's 0-3. Right. So he was responding to why the commenters are hating on Herbert in his defense. Well, during the discussion between just he and I, the 0-3 thing was brought up multiple times. So, well, it's because forever people are like, all that matters is you win. All that matters is you win. And they're like, Justin Herbert's fantastic. Like he is 0-3. Well, but basically, there was a game they should have won. What you're doing, you're going at the Josh Allen backers by using the win thing with Herbert. So to my point, you're now mixing two things that upset you. Actually, it's really the two guys who are pushing Tyrod off the team, off your respective teams. So whatever. No, this is the right decision. I mean, I've been saying all day it's the right decision. I don't know if it is. If he doesn't win, absolutely is. And they're not out of the playoffs. If Tyrod can have them win, if he regresses in this Monday night game, then bring Tyrod back if he's healthy. I'm fine with that too. So anyway, all right, good stuff. The only thing wrong with Herbert is he went to Oregon. That's the only thing wrong. It's true. Yeah. Well. All right, let's see. Well, tomorrow we are back 10:30 normal time, and then 2:00 show tomorrow with Cofield and company. Anything else going on, Justin, that we got to mention? Anything else happening? No, you guys know, and the 3BC, we're working on it. We're going to make it into a real broadcast center. We got the designs. We're going. It's going to be badass. I can't wait. Good. I'm excited for it. It'll be good when it'll be good when things open up too. I know you were planning some events out at the office, so we got to wait obviously a few more months or until there's a vaccine until we get that going. So thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you go to Spotify and iTunes and some of the other carriers and subscribe and like and listen to the audio version when you can.